Welcome back, students, in the fourth lecture of this video lecture series. In the previous lecture, which was lecture number 3, we have discussed about the rotation, the symmetry of the crystal about that rotation, and different axes about which the symmetry can be defined. We have defined one-fold axis, two-fold axis, three-fold axis, four-fold axis, and the six-fold axis. It can be noticed that five-fold axis was not there. In today's lecture, we will discuss the rotational symmetry elements in short again, and after that we will prove that why five-fold axis cannot be defined in three-dimensional lattice. So let us continue today's topic with our first slide. In this very first slide, we are going to discuss a very basic property of a crystal about their symmetry. We are going to define lattice translational vector. Lattice is made up of a number of lattice points. We may consider any lattice point as our origin, and we can define the position of all other lattice points with respect to that lattice point. If we want to do so, we have to define a vector quantity which can represent that particular lattice point as our position vector. To understand this point more clearly, let us check this lattice structure in which the separation between two lattice points along x-axis is denoted by small a, and the separation between the two lattice points along y-axis is denoted by small b. I have considered this point number 1 atom, which I have taken as the reference point. This is our reference point. And if we want to define the position of this random point, which is denoted by tick here, like this one, if I want to represent the position of this vector with respect to this origin, then I have to travel one A, then another A, third A, just like our coordinate system, and at last fourth. We have to cover 4A distance along x-axis and 2B, 1B from first layer to second layer, and another B from second layer to third layer. So the position vector of this point with respect to the reference point is 4A plus 2B. It is defined as the lattice translational vector. It means it is nothing but simply a position vector of one particular lattice point with respect to some other reference lattice point. Due to the symmetry, it can be represented in more generalized way like vector T is MA plus NB, where A and B are the side vectors of unit cell, or we may say the inter lattice point separation along two different directions, and M and N are integers. Integer means some other lattice point cannot be situated in between these two. It must be some integers in the case of this structure. So it should be clear in our mind that a particular lattice point can be represented in terms of MA plus and B. This point will be used frequently in our forthcoming lectures. In this slide, we are going to define rotational axis of symmetry again. If we concentrate ourselves on first diagram, then it is clear that we have to rotate the crystal about this axis through 360-degree angle so that the same identical structure can be obtained. The angle of rotation should be 360 degree. If I put this 360 degree here, then n becomes 360 by 360, that is 1, n equal to 1. It is a single fold axis. And if there exists some other axis for which the crystal can be rotated through 180 degree to obtain the identical structure, then if we put 180 here, then n becomes 2. It is defined as a dyad axis. Similarly, for 120-degree rotation, n becomes 3. That is a triad axis. Again, we have to put 120 here. 360 by 120, that is 3. Then 9 for 90-degree, n equal to 4. That is a tetrad axis. And for n equal to 6, we have to rotate the crystal through 60-degree angle. It is a definition which we have already discussed. But now I want to introduce a very important point, that for any angle of rotation, if the crystal regain its original configuration, then there exists some other lattice point at that angle of rotation also. I mean to say, for 360-degree rotation, after 360-degree rotation, there is the same point again. But for 180-degree rotation, after 180-degree, there is some other similar identical lattice point already exists. For 120-degree, there exists a lattice point already at 120-degree angle. Again, in case of 90, if we check, then after every 90-degree rotation, there is similar lattice point. Similar in case of the 60-degree, after every 60-degree rotation, we get a similar lattice point. So in general, if I consider axis like this one, and I say that after a rotation of phi n, or the phi n is the angle after that the crystal regain its original configuration, then after every phi n angle, there must exist some other lattice point. Again, after phi n angle, there must be some lattice point. After phi n angle, there must be some lattice point. So it's a very generalized result that the angle of rotation also represent the configuration or the arrangement of the lattice point in the space. So on the basis of this, we can redefine the whole concept of axis. Now our basic question, five-fold axis is not compatible with a lattice. The reason behind it, we are going to prove it. So we have shown a lattice like this one, A, B, C, D are different lattice points. If the lattice can be rotated through phi n angle, where phi n is 360 by n, in either clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. The identical structure can be regained. Then, after rotating phi n angle, if B dash is the point where some lattice point must exist so that the identical structure can be obtained. Similarly, we can rotate it in anti-clockwise direction also. So then there should be some lattice point C dash, so that after rotating phi n angle, the similar structure can be obtained. It is a must that B dash C dash should have some lattice point, so that after rotating phi n angle, the identical structure can be obtained. So it's clear that B dash and C dash are some lattice points if phi n is the angle of rotation to obtain identical structure. Now B dash, it should be some translational vector T. C dash, it must be some translational vector C. In terms of T, we can represent B dash and C dash. But in between the distance B dash C dash, it must be empty. M must be some integer. It's clear that this B dash is T, C dash is T, but B dash C dash is empty, where M is some integer. It can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3. As this angle is phi n, so this angle between EB dash B, it must be phi n again. Similarly, here angle CC dash F, it must be phi n again. So in triangle B dash EB, B dash EB, it is a right angle triangle. In this triangle, if we consider cos phi n, then cos is base upon hypotenuse. The base for this phi n angle is B dash E, and hypotenuse is BB dash, which we have written here cos phi n equal to B dash E upon BB dash. B dash E as it is, BB dash equal to T, the translational vector over. So by cross multiply, we can get B dash E equal to T cos phi n. Similarly, in triangle CFC dash, if we take phi n here, it's symmetrical. So cos phi n is FC dash by CC dash. Again, FC dash is T cos phi n. B dash E and FC dash we have already derived with the help of trigonometric relations. Now, if we define B dash C dash, B dash C dash is B dash E plus E to F, then F to C. It's a straight line. Point E and F, divide the straight line in three parts: B dash E, E F, and F C dash, where E and F are the intersection points of the perpendicular drawn from point B and C on the line B dash C dash. So if we put the value of B dash E, that is T cos phi n, the value of F C dash again T cos phi n, so the sum of first and third term is 2T cos phi n. And EF, the second term, that is again T. So B dash C dash is T plus 2T cos phi n. But we have already defined that B dash C dash must be empty, where M is some integer. Put B dash C dash equal to empty. T will be cancelled out. If then after some simple mathematics, we will get cos phi n equal to M minus 1 by 2. As M is some integer, so M minus 1 must be some integer, that is represented by capital N here. So it's an important result that cos phi n equal to n by 2 in our case. So cos phi n equal to m minus 1 by 2 or capital N by 2, where capital N equal to m minus 1. The maximum value of cosine function is plus 1 or minus 1 and the minimum value is 0. Cos and sine function are the bounded functions. They have the limited values in between plus 1 and minus 1. So the values of capital N should have either 2 or 1 or 0 or minus 1 or minus 2 values. Because if I put n equal to 3, cos phi n becomes 1.5, which is impossible. So capital N must lie between 2 and minus 2, and it should be some integer also, because n equal to m minus 1. So the possible values of n are 2, 1, 0, minus 1 and minus 2. In this table, first we have taken n equal to 2, then cos phi n equal to 1, because if I put n equal to 2, then 2 by 2 it's 1, then cos 1 for is possible for the angle phi n equal to 0 degree or 360 degree. So it is n equal to 1 according to our formula of small n. 360 by phi n, it's 1. So it is a single fold axis. If we put n equal to 1, cos phi n is 0.5, phi n is 60 degree, cos 60 is 1 by 2 or 0.5. If I put 60 here, then it becomes 6. It's hexad axis. If I put n equal to 0, cos phi n 0, phi n 90, n equal to 4, tetrad axis. Here 5 is not there. If I put n equal to minus 1, it's minus 0.5, and cos 120 is minus half. So phi n is 120. If I put phi n here, then n becomes 3. It's triad axis. If I put n equal to minus 2, then cos phi n minus 1, phi n 180 degree, n equal to 2, it's diad axis. So due to the limitations of the crystal, it is not possible that n may get a value which can provide us a axis for n equal small n equal to 5. It is the reason that 5-fold axis is not compatible with a lattice. Now our assignment. Today's assignment question is, explain why 5-fold rotational axis cannot be obtained in a crystal. With this assignment question, I want to conclude my lecture here. See you in next lecture. Have a nice day.